Hello everyone, I'm Dr. C.J. Varghese, welcoming all of you to the 8th anniversary of Global GHK Foundation. Global GHK Foundation was formed on 26th of January 2017. It is the Republic Day of India, and we could successfully complete 8 years of its existence. When it was begun, the name of our community was GNM India, and later it was renamed as Global GNM during the so-called COVID pandemic. Thereafter, we again renamed it as Global GHK. GHK means Germanic Healing Knowledge. So on this auspicious day, on behalf of we all extend to you warmest greetings of 8th anniversary. It's with much pride that we celebrate it because we could successfully complete 8 years of its existence. For me, GHK stands as the most monumental discovery in the human history. And therefore, embracing this knowledge is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself. Also, sharing it with others is the most profound humanitarian service that you can provide in your lifetime. So, with best regards, I'm proceeding to my presentation. First of all, I thank God for giving me or giving to this world two legends who could make a paradigm shift in the thought process of the humanity. Number one is Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, the father or the founder of homeopathy. I am fortunate to be a learner of homeopathy for the last 50 years. And the second legend in my life, or according to me, the second legend given to the world by God is none other than Dr. J. Hammer, who came to this world with his 5 biological laws of nature, and they are going to change, make a revolutionary impact on the human history, I believe. And I am so thankful to God because we could form an organization which is mainly intended to learn GHK in its authentic form and to spread it across the globe. I am presenting this disclaimer. The information presented in this presentation is for educational purpose only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. Participants are advised to consult their medical doctors for health-related concerns before applying any information disclosed during this presentation. Students are instructed not to use the information presented herein for their examination purposes. The topic on which I wish to make a presentation today is understanding the working of human organism under the perspective of GHK. I know for certain this topic is not at all a new topic because every human intellect is trying to understand the working of the human organism in its own way, in its own way. Therefore, I admit it is not a new topic, but it becomes new because I am trying to share with you my thoughts when I was trying to understand the human organism in the perspective of GHK. GHK, as you know, it stands for Germanic Healing Knowledge or Germanische Heilkunde, as It was called by Dr. I.K. Amar. So this topic was explored by various individuals with their own diverse approaches. So I admit each approach is evolving, and each of those approaches are subject to improvement also. Therefore, I don't claim to have a perfect or exhaustive understanding, because as and when our understanding, our rational thoughts are improving, there will be changes, there will be additions, there will be modifications for this understanding. Even in my lifetime also, I am not claiming that this is the ultimate. There will be a lot of modifications. That is how our human organism is built up. So to start with, there are different perspectives, and all these different perspectives offer their own unique explanations. Why I selected this as my presentation when we celebrate this 8th anniversary is because my understanding of the human organism was entirely transformed by my learning of GHK. This is what I wish to share with you today. So what is the significance of GHK in understanding human organism? So I repeat, it's a revolutionary understanding. So the perspective of GHK, under which we are going to discuss the topics of wellness, disease, and healing, are entirely different, entirely unique, and it has got the inherent, innate capacity to make a radical change in this world. So once again, I'm repeating, for me at least, GHK represents the most profound discovery in the human history, and it can transform our understanding of wellness, disease, and healing, or as I used to say, health, disease, and cure. And of course, it is developed by Dr. I.K. Hammer. GHK is comprehensive framework that places human beings in the center of his discoveries. There's no doubt, because it's a human organism is the topic, and therefore every discoveries in this world are all keeping human or the man in the center, but there is a lot of difference in conceiving the subject matter, that is the human being. So Dr. Hammer's 5 biological laws of nature serve as the foundation of GHK, emphasizing the intricate connections between the mind, body, and spirit. I hope I'm talking to a group of people who have already got sensitized to this GHK, and therefore I believe this is not a very radical or very basic explanation of GHK. You have to go back to the websites of Caroline Marcolin, my teacher, Helmut Piller, and all my associate mentors who are supporting me in this great venture. So when I take up this topic, what are the key concepts? So that's a holistic understanding of human organism. You also, I know, you have heard a lot of times about the holistic understanding, but when we come to GHK, it is going to be entirely different, and it transcends all conventional understanding of any sort of medicine so far existing or so far come into this world, and that is GHK, Germanische Heilkunde. Of course, you know, what is the limitation of conventional medicine? It views the human mind, or human organism solely as a material entity. And that's the most important characteristic or defect of the so-called conventional medicine. It neglects all the intricate relationships between body, mind, and spirit, only because things beyond the body, of course, including the brain also, mind, spirit, All these are not subjects for study under the purview of conventional medicine only because they are not evidence based. There are no instruments, no machinery invented in any of the big research institutes in any part of the world. And therefore, the conventional medicine, we homeopaths call it allopathy, and all its branches, let it be pediatrics, let it be orthopedics, let it be ENT, let it be ophthalmology. So all the specialties are, even the dentistry. So all the specialties are not looking at the subject sitting in front of a physician or a human being as containing or consisting of mind and spirit in addition to the body with which they are dealing. So what's the difference? GSK recognizes the paramount importance of brain control in wellness, disease, and healing. Here again, the brain is understood by the medical science as a material thing. There may be understanding about the neurological things happening by so many experiments. But the real mediation that the brain is doing between the mind and the body is not understood by the conventional medicine. So conventional medicine often disregards the human mind's role in the physical disease. Of course, there is a specialty called psychiatry, there is a psychology in advanced stage, but the relationship between the body and the psyche is not even properly, I underline properly, discussed under the purview of conventional medicine. But in the case of GHK, it's the crucial component of our understanding of the human organism. So GHK adopts a multi-dimensional approach, incorporating spiritual, psychological, biological, neurological, and physical aspects to understand the human organism. And therefore, for a GNM learner or a GNM therapist, a human being sitting in front of the therapist or our subject matter of the GHK is having the most important components. Even spiritual aspects are being discussed, of course, psychological aspects, biological aspects, and all the neurological aspects and the physical aspects also in its discussion about the human organism. So what I wish to communicate to you is that GHK has brought to this world a revolutionary approach to health, challenging the conventional wisdom that exists in this world. And you know, it's very influential and it's very, very powerful and it's rich, and therefore the poor, innocent, illiterate, medically illiterate people will believe that only, and they take it into their own life, and that is how the conventional medicine becomes the most prominent medical system or medical understanding which every human being in varying degrees adopt for their health care and for the health care of their family members, beloved members, and all other fellow human beings. So, coming to the point in depth, Dr. Hammer has categorized those accident cases, trauma, injuries by a fall, by a motor accident. So they are not coming under the purview of global GHK in the sense the diseases, even though we will call a person is admitted in the hospital after a motor accident. So that person is not suffering from any natural disease, that is an accident case. So similar is the condition with the poisoning. So poisoning means it may be an animal poisoning, it may be a chemical poisoning, it may be some pollution, water contamination, so atmospheric pollution. All these are coming as reasons for hospitalization sometimes, but they are not coming under the purview of natural diseases where five biological laws of nature are the foundation of. And the third one is malnutrition. So we are supposed to get normal ingredients or constituents of the nutrients. And if they are not supplied to the system, there will be really sufferings and discomforts, and with which a person may be admitted in a hospital, may be approaching a healthcare professional for help. But those cases are not coming under the concept of disease, so-called disease by Dr. Harman. So let's go again further. GHK diverges from conventional medicine and other holistic approaches. You must have heard so many holistic approaches are there. They are all different when we understand GHK in its essential, authentic manner. And what is the most important aspects, concepts of the modern medical understanding are genetics, and GHK believes and says with evidences that this genetic transference of disease is also, if at all it is there, from the psyche, and the influences the psyche, even the spiritual influence will be there. Psyche means the subconscious mind, and through the brain, it will be manifested on the physical body. That may take place even when the individual is in the womb of the mother. So that is how all the congenital diseases are called. So-called congenital diseases, when the modern medicine, so-called modern medicine, conventional medicine does not have an explanation for all these things, they are ascribing or attributing the causation of all these diseases to genetics. In reality, these genes are also causing diseases under the influence of this spiritual, psychic, and of course, brain is involved in that way only. And GSK has got an entirely different approach to the microbes, and GSK does not believe in infectious diseases, and we believe strongly that no microbe is an enemy of human organism. They cannot make any disease, and they are or innate or inherent. They are already inside our body, and there are no like wild bees, microbes flying in the air, in the water, or in the food that we take, making the individual sick or killed by infections. Therefore, in GHK, there is there are no infectious diseases, no epidemic diseases, or diseases are not contagious. Therefore, there is no pandemic under the understanding of global GHK. And a lot of importance is also given to lifestyle diseases. So many diseases are categorized under lifestyle diseases like cancer, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, hypertension, etc. And we have got very, very clear-cut reasons in the level of the psyche or the psychic cause, which we call as biological conflicts, and they only can make diseases, and many of the diseases of which the reasons are not known to the medical world, they ascribe it is due to the lifestyle. And very often, many diseases of the senior citizens after the age of 50, after the age of 60, they attribute most of the diseases to the age factor, whereas the age is not a reason for causing some group of diseases, which we call as geriatric diseases. There are no geriatric diseases, but as and when human age is considered by the individual subjectively, that I'm going to be old, I'm nearing 100 years of, or 120, I am going to be old. So that itself can cause some conflicts, and that is how a person becomes sick. And many of such conditions are called as geriatric diseases or age related diseases. So to conclude, GHK's approach to diseases, we call always so-called disease, and it's entirely revolutionary. And therefore, GHK brings to this world a paradigm shift in the understanding, the application of this knowledge in one's lifetime. So it's all beyond the conventional medicine I tried to explain already, and it is beyond all existing holistic understanding of the diseases also, because it is much above the understanding of the existing other holistic approaches to health. And I should say that it is not only distinct from all the existing conventional medicine approach, all the existing so-called holistic understanding. Very often in the human understanding, when all the systems are put together, for example, an institution is called a holistic healthcare, where homeopathy is made use of, Ayurveda is made use of, meditation is there, yoga practices are there, Siddha is there, naturopathic approach. All these put together, they call these institutions holistic, and that is also a confusing word. We are not talking about such holistic mixing that is happening very often in this world. We are talking about the holistic understanding where the human organism is considered in its totality, as the spiritual aspects are also taken into consideration. I will talk about the spiritual considerations, and therefore another thing is psychosomatic diseases. The human, or at least that concept is already also there in the conventional medicine, that certain diseases are psychosomatic. They know that this is related to something, some conflicts in the mind, but they cannot specifically or attribute this particular cause is the particular reason for this particular disease. Specific causation for a specific so-called disease. That is the characteristic, and that is the revolution that Dr. Hammer brought to this world. Therefore, GHK brings about a fundamental shift in the understanding of the human organism and therefore the diseases. What are diseases? The concept also is different. So I will go more deeper to the fundamentals of GHK. My purpose is not to explain its fundamental or in an elaborate manner, because one day is not enough to explain, or 1 hour of my presentation is not going to discuss all these things. Here I have put the compass of German New Medicine, which alone gives a lot of information for those who are interested. They can go back to our sources of information, like the website of Caroline Marcolin, my teacher, and there are so many teachers. Ilsidora Lacker is there, Helmut Puller, late Helmut Puller, who was the lecturer appointed by Dr. Hammer to spread these notes. Many are there in this world who have taken this knowledge a very serious manner, and they are doing humanitarian service to make the world free from the fear of diseases. So what is given in this diagram is explaining normotonia, there you can see, and when it is affected by so-called conflicts, what is happening, and what is the influence of the sympathetic nervous system on the human organism, and how it is compensated or adjusted with the parasympathetic, and all these things are discussed in this. And even the normotonic going or working of the human organism is affected by a conflict, and that is biological conflict, and that puts into a particular stage called conflict active stage. And once the person is able to find out a resolution, thereafter follows the healing phase, and all these conflict active phase and conflict healing phase are full of symptoms, very characteristic, that will enable us to understand this human organism is conflict active or he has already achieved healing because of a resolution of his conflicts. So these are all going to tell upon the decision of a person if he is concerned about his own health, or by the so-called GHK therapist if he is ready or he is available for helping another individual. And there is, of course, a very beautiful, very important understanding of a particular process happening there that's called epileptocrisis, which explains a large portion of the diseases so far unknown to this world. We know about epilepsy, and Dr. Hammer selected the word epileptoid because of its relation with the resolution or following the resolution, what happens in the case of skeletal muscles in the form of epilepsy. So that is very easy or very commonly understood phenomenon, but Dr. Hammer is associating so many disease conditions. We are not calling disease, so many conditions during the course of a program. We call it as a program, the disease, and this epileptocrisis is very important, and nobody or most of the people do not understand that if we allow that to happen, and finally a person will achieve or attain perfect healing, and thereafter he can continue his normotonic situations. So far as my knowledge goes, there has no proper definition of GHK, or nobody has made an attempt to make a definition of it. But we can put all our knowledge together and we can have an understanding of Germanische Heilkunde. One thing we can say, it is a revolutionary understanding, and it is a holistic understanding or holistic approach to human beings, and it takes into consideration the phenomena of disease, so-called disease, when compared to the healthy condition or the human condition, human healthy condition, and when he is so-called sick, and when he is getting healed, or all these three phenomena, disease or health, disease, and cure, very rationally, understandably, we can appreciate the thought process of Dr. Hammer in the most beautiful manner, that he can help the human organism to continue in the most perfect manner. And of course, there's no doubt Dr. Hammer is the founder of this, or he is the discoverer of this medical wisdom that he gave to this world. And to conclude, GHK integrates biological, psychological, and spiritual aspects of human organism. This is the purpose of my presentation of this paper. And we are going to consider not only the physical, about which we know many things, and everyone knows many details. Most of them are perfect, or most of them are all conclusive. But what we do lack in our understanding of the human organism is, we are not our body. This is my body, and therefore I am much above my body. We can also say similarly about my mind. This is my mind. Then who am I? I am still above my mind. And regarding the spiritual considerations also, I will discuss a bit later, and then we will understand what is a human organism under the purview or under the understanding of GHK. So those who are already sensitized, or those who know something about GHK, know that these are the core principles of GHK. Most important is the 5 biological laws of nature. I will explain to some extent all these things in the coming time or slides. And the concept of SBS, that is the significant special biological program of nature. It is how Dr. Hammer called every disease condition. And most important, or perhaps very important aspect, is the consideration of the importance of brain, how brain is acting. In my clinical practice, I asked to majority of the patients, where is mind situated? They will say it is here, but the mean is brain. So brain for them is the place or where the mind exists. No, I used to say, I do not know where it is. So finally, I will make my patients also say, I do not know. But one thing I know, he knows that mind is there, and all the seed of my emotions are there. All my talents are in my mind, whether I'm a singer, I'm a musician, I'm a painter. So my talent is in the mind. My memory is in the mind. My intelligence is in the mind. When it is manifested through my body, it is understandable about my emotions will be expressed on my face or my body, and my talent will be expressed through my performance, and my intelligence or memory will be manifested through my performance, and like that. Our body is only a medium or only a display where the inner core of our human organism is expressed on this body. As just like a computer has got its monitor or the display, the screen, it is manifesting those things or manifesting or displaying those things that are in the CPU. And another thing is that Dr. Hammer included or contained all the so-called diseases of the mind under the heading of schizophrenic constellation. It has got very little relation to schizophrenia as is understood by the conventional medicine. But the schizophrenic constellation takes into consideration all the so-called psychiatric diseases or mental illnesses, psychosis. But it also takes into consideration or considers the so-called depression, mania, or bipolar actions of or bipolar nature of human being behaviors. And another thing is there are so many different types of behaviors in the human organism, or someone behaves in a very peculiar manner, different manner, unique manner. All these are explained under the heading or under the category of schizophrenic constellation. That's the most beautiful contribution Dr. Hammer has given to this world. And I don't need to stress upon the importance of the interconnectedness of the mind, brain, and the body. So this is one of the core principles of GHQ. And this understanding, that is the healing, has to take place, not in the body. Any attempt to heal in the physical level is only partially going to give any comfort. The person, the subjective individual may be thinking that, oh, it is because of this application, this surgery, or this intervention that I felt better. That he may be claiming like that. But in reality, if it's a natural disease, I'm not talking about the accidents. I'm not talking about the toxic conditions or toxins, poisoning conditions. I'm not talking about the malnutrition. In all other conditions, if a natural disease is happening, and the healing also has to take place from the spiritual levels down through the mind level and finally on the physical level. I will try to explain these concepts little in a detailed manner, because it's all requiring a lot of time, and therefore I'm not going for that. So understanding of these core principles is the most important thing while you are attempting to learn GHQ, because they provide a comprehensive framework of the understanding of the human organism. So I will try to explain little by little. And number one, and the most important is, or we call the permanent foundation of this understanding, Germanische Heilkunde, and that is called 5 biological laws. And they exactly govern the human organism. So it may not be always a disease producing, so-called a very serious conflict, so that a program may be kick-started or triggered so that a visible or understandable disease condition is there. Even in our normotonic condition, normal day life cycle, or even our normal healthy life situations also, this principle of 5 biological laws of nature is acting. That I have been telling all this in my webinars, which were conducted on this platform of global GHK. So regarding the working of the human organism, 5 biological laws of nature gives us very beautiful, very comprehensive, very exhaustive, very rational thoughts or understanding. And they provide a framework for understanding the relationships between brain, body, and psyche. Number 2 is the concept of special biological programs. You see, during the course of evolution, during the course of our development, transformation into the present day human organism type of person we are. During the past history, somewhere in the past, there developed so many programs in the modern language, the language of the computer. Everybody will understand what exactly is meant by programs. So according to GHK, according to Dr. Hammer, all the so-called diseases are one or other programs. And the concept of special biological program, or it is in German language, it is SBS. And this concept gives us a very, very beautiful or very exhaustive, very amazing knowledge that we are getting when we try to explain every disease condition under the framework of this program. So it is called significant special biological programs of nature. So every disease will be explained under this framework of SBS. So if I try to explain, it is a predetermined. Why it is predetermined? Because from the time the half cell of the father in the form of a sperm, when it unites with the half cell of the mother and to form the primordial cell, single-celled organism, at that time itself, the original programs or the predetermined programs are already installed in that new human being, and that is being manifested or coming into activity during its course of intrauterine life, and even thereafter during the lifetime of life of an individual from his birth, not from his birth, the date of birth, the person coming out of the uterus. No, it is from the very first day of its union or fertilized ovum with the sperm. From that day onwards, till he dies, till he perishes, till he becomes a part of this terrestrial or earthly atmosphere, because we are all created by God, and we all created beings will perish one day, and that is the another law. And therefore, until that day, what all disease conditions one human organism experience, they are all explained under this the concept of SBS. So predetermined biological responses to specific conflicts. So when these diseases are going to be manifested or expressed, and that is when there is a conflict, and that conflict is called by Dr. Hammer as biological conflict. Designed to help individuals cope and overcome the conflicts. There are inbuilt mechanisms or programs so that the individual may be enabled to come out of these particular conflict situations, and that is basically biological conflicts. And all other things are there. There are so many conflicts are there. The territorial conflicts are there, and they are all created by the human thought process. Now, the importance of brain is too much or very well explained under the concept of GHK, because in the case of majority of the physical diseases, the conventional medicine is not at all looking into see what is the influence or what is the role of the mediator component, that is the brain. And it is the peculiarity, or it is most characteristic principle of GHK, is that it takes into consideration the importance of brain as the central controlling agent, controlling all the bodily functions, including the responses to the conflicts, and all the healing processes are controlled by the brain. I already explained little about schizophrenic constellation. It explains all the causes of all mental diseases, which we call usually as psychosis, mental illnesses, and mood disorders. So I told you already many depressive conditions and all the peculiar or all the human behavior. And these are all explained or very well understood under the framework of GHK. Now, even though I discussed, I have to stress more upon the interconnectedness of the body, mind, and spirit. The recognizing the intricate relationships between the physical body, the psyche, and spiritual dimension. Here, this understanding about the spiritual dimension is very, very important, because Dr. Hammer has told that the healing takes place, or the resolution takes place not only in the psychic level, but it also takes place in the spiritual level. Or very often in my clinical practice, very often the cases that are hanging, continuing as chronic diseases, they are because of certain tracks or certain conflicts that are hanging only because the spiritual aspect is not at all considered, or the individual is failing to take into consideration the spiritual aspects, and they are also very important in the normal or in a quality life of an individual. And finally, the principle of meaningful adaptive responses. What is that meaning? That means it's an adapting or an adaptation. We are having an inherent capacity to adapt ourselves to the existing situations. And that is how the evolution is explained. The human organism, as he has reached 2025, that means that he has been undergoing a lot of evolutions. And all these evolutions are taking place due to an inherent principle within ourselves, and that is an adaptive responses. So even when we look upon the disease process, there is an understanding, or we have to have an understanding of this adaptive, meaningful responses to conflicts and stresses. Even though it will manifest as certain symptoms in the form of diseases, but they are all mechanisms, inherent mechanisms, inbuilt mechanisms through which the person is always evolving, and therefore it encourages a deeper understanding. Yes, it encourages a deeper understanding of underlying causes and natural healing mechanisms. So I wish to conclude all these things. GHK concept of biological special programs, they are really challenging the conventional views on disease. We are very, very familiar with the idea of disease, but we are lacking the real or clear understanding about the real explanation of the phenomena called disease. So, as I told already, diseases are not malfunctions. This is the most important thing. Diseases are not malfunctions. It is not because nature has gone wrong. Nature is behaving in a wrong manner. No, nature is behaving in its perfect manner, even when an individual is suffering from a very serious disease. Let it be heart attack, let it be a stroke, let it be a cancer. Any disease is a process of evolution. If it is understood by the subject himself or the whole humanity, and that will be going to give a lot of positive contributions to this humanity. So diseases are not malfunctions, they are all biologically meaningful responses, not based on theories, as it is very commonly found in the case of conventional medicine. There are so many theories. I'm going to enlist them below, and they are all called infection theory, for example. That's a theory. For a rational mind, if we go on asking why, then there is no answer. Only because a nano-sized organism, nobody says one organism, 10 organism, 100 organism, 1,000 organisms are responsible for an infectious diseases. There are no explanations for that. There is no proof that a particular organism has infected. There is no evidence for this thing. Only once a person is suffering from a particular disease, they say it is because of this so and so infection. That is how the infection theory has become a part and parcel of our human existence now. So very often the diseases are explained using the statistics. The causation of diseases are explained under the theories of or the principles of statistics. So we examined 100 patients, and out of which the cancer was developed because of this smoking, and those who have not smoked, there were very little or very less in number percentage, and the persons who smoked, and they were in more number, and therefore smoking can be a reason for cancer. That is how the statistics goes. And another is, very often we have found latest research findings. The latest hot news is that there has invented a vaccine for cancer in Russia. This is a recent knowledge. So I'm in medical knowledge, or I'm in medical school for the last 50 years. I told you I'm learning homeopathy, and for the last 50 years, ever since I joined the medical college, I have been hearing that a particular medicine or a vaccine or something detected in some part of the world, but that has not been able to eradicate the phenomena called cancer. But in GHK, there's a very, very clear answer for the so-called cause of cancers. So there is no guessing in the case of GHK. These are all guesswork, and there can be an infection. There can be an immune system which has gone down. Its immunity has gone down. They are not all conclusive explanations. And I told already about genetic factors. Genetic factors are not found to be the cause of so-called genetic diseases, but they all attribute to genetics. That must have happened like this. And you see, it is since 2000, the year 2000, we got to know about the human genome, the book of genome, etc. And thereafter, everybody thought that the secret of disease phenomenon is going to be explained in the most beautiful manner. Nothing happened. So many diseases, serious diseases, causations of which are not, they are not able to explain or attributed to the genetic factors, and that is how it goes. Regarding the malignancy, I told already, the cancer is not at all explained satisfactorily by the so-called conventional medicine, because they are not taking into consideration the spiritual aspects, the psychic aspects, and not even the brain mediation also. They are exclusively seeing the changes happening in the cellular level and explaining the phenomenon of cancer. It is only Dr. Hammer said, with cancer, nobody is designed to die. With cancer, nobody will die. But it is the fear of cancer or maltreatment based on unscientific theories that kill someone. Because very diagnosis of cancer is giving an individual terrible, horrible conflicts, additional conflicts. And that is what makes him so-called cancer cachexia. And he gets so many metastases. He gets self-devaluation affected. Therefore, bone metastasis happens following a breast cancer, for example. No conventional medicine has so far given a satisfactory answer for the development of any cancers at any place or any tissue or any organ. But Hammer has got a very beautiful answer according to my understanding. And this answer or explanation of cancer is the most satisfactory to my mind, and that is what I'm sharing with you. And Dr. Hammer is the only person who said there are no carcinogens. There are no carcinogens. That means this particular substance can cause cancer. And he said there is no metastasis. It's a fake theory. From one part of the body, a cancer cell will not travel, just like some weeds are flowing through the water and settling some other part of the shore and bringing about another cultivation like that. Nothing like that. There's no metastasis. And so many I told already about lifestyle diseases. So these are all not satisfactory to a rational human being to understand these are the concerns. So with this GHK, there has come to this humanity, to this world, a new paradigm, and they are all based on natural laws. And they are all firmly anchored on embryology and evolution. And they are all based or founded on natural biological laws. And to the credit of all these principles, they are all 100% variable to be accurate. So let us continue forward. GSK and conflict-related responses. The brain's crucial role in mediating a biologically meaningful program. I will try to explain a little more. It's not exhaustive, but I will try to explain something more. The human organism is equipped with innate programs that enable it to respond to conflicts. These programs are inherent, downloaded somewhere in the past, need not be in the history of an individual. That may be in the history of his forefathers in the previous generations, but that will be transferred, and it is not through the genes. Genes are expressions. We will be experiencing it as genetic, but the causation is in the maybe in the psyche of the fathers, mother. They can be converted, transferred through that. So conventional medicine often misinterprets these responses as harmful rather than recognizing their biologically meaningful and beneficial nature. So all the diseases are having a beneficial characteristic, and that is ignored by the conventional medicine. The conventional medicine frequently overlooks the brain central role. I told already, and it is one of the important things that has to be taken into consideration. It has got a mediating role to the responses from due to the causations in the psychic level. So this oversight can lead to a lack of understanding of the underlying causes of physical diseases and mental diseases. So this aspect which I'm going to tell, this is the importance of interconnectedness of the body, mind, and spirit in GHK. So any science study, human beings must consider the interconnections of this mind, body, and the spirit. Medical sciences that neglect this interconnection are incomplete and handicapped. Therefore, GHK uniquely considers the spiritual aspects in addition to the physical and psychological aspects. The significance of spirituality, I should speak few words about that thing. Spirituality is a personal and subjective aspect. It varies from individual to individual because it is very much cultivated or created, or it is generated from our inheritance. We got it from so many sources. Our training are important. Our values that are inculcated in our human system is important to understand the spirituality, and our background, our principles, our moralities, our training, our cultural environment in which we are, our family background, training, values, principles. All these are finally giving the spiritual approach of an individual. And this is very important in GHK, and because it is very important for an individual. So a spiritual approach that does not promote healthy living is misguided. That means what? Suppose a person is having a spirituality of his own. How to prove that it is effective or it is the true spirituality one should create or inculcate? or develop in his personality. That is because it should help him to lead a quality life. If that is not giving him a so-called healthy life, that means that his spirituality is wrong sometime, somewhere. So regarding this, if I'm sharing my personal experiences, I have my own spirituality, which for me is very good for me, and it is true for me, and is really helping me in my life, day-to-day life, in my family life, in my social life, and in all aspects of my life, it is helping. And also, as a professional medical practitioner, it is very effectively, very efficiently, I am making use of this spirituality in helping others also, not only in helping myself, my dear and near ones, but I am also trying to help my clients who approach me for some help. So this is for me a ministry. That means not only giving GHK to my clients or the patients who come in front of me, but it is also, I have taken it as a ministry of this, for even the formation of global GSK, even the associations, or even our group of mentors who are supporting my work in a very sincere manner. I am thankful to them also. And all these persons, I believe God is sending for making this GSK reach every nook and corner of this world, across the globe. So as we already suggested, 8 billion people of this world. So that is our ultimate aim. And therefore, we believe God will make environments suitable for our work activities in future. So the work that I am doing, I'm taking it as a God-given duty or responsibility to spread this science across the globe. So my own spiritual practices, I'm repeating, enhance my GHK therapy, because I'm making use of it cannot be explained here in public or in a public platform like this, but all persons, I'm having patients or clients from across the globe, and all the patients must have understood how I am dealing with their condition. I'm always trying to lead them to the true spiritual understanding, and that I have concluded that they are all helping them in their individual development and transformation. Another aspect to be understood is that there is a self-protection mechanism of the human organism, understanding symptoms as adaptive response to conflicts. So the human organism is designed to protect itself for survival. So that is clear. All symptoms, whether physical or mental, are attempts by the system to safeguard itself. In another aspect, if we are trying to understand the symptoms, they are all attempts of the human organism to protect themselves, to safeguard themselves, first and foremost. All SBSs, also called diseases, are biological purpose. That is a very beautiful understanding in GHK. That what all programs, when explained, applied in a particular human organism or in individual, we have to understand that what is the purpose, what is the biological purpose which led this program to run in this particular human organism. So another aspect is that it has got an evolutionary purpose. The inherent or innate organism is reacting to these conflicts and manifesting it as certain symptoms, signs and symptoms. They are all with a purpose, and that process is always subjected to a evolutionary perspective, or it has got an evolutionary purpose. So a natural evolution program is inherent in the organism. That's the most beautiful understanding. Through interaction with its environment, the organism slowly evolves to adapt and utilizing its innate program for improvisation. Just as a electronic gadget that we are having, for example, a mobile phone, it has got inbuilt program so that it may free itself from the attacking or malware, which we once upon a time earlier periods, we were very commonly familiar with the antiviral programs. So malware, if at all coming from outside, there is a program for protecting itself. And nowadays, we don't install a special antiviral program. That is all inbuilt or downloaded and installed, and it is run with that program. So self-regulating human organism, and that is called a homeostasis. That word is commonly understood by the modern people, a homeostasis, or it is a survival mechanism. The self-regulation process is done by inherent programs designed for safeguarding. I told already that concept, and for survival also. It is known as homeostasis, by which an organism maintains stability while adjusting to conditions optimal or for survival. So these survival mechanisms are often mislabeled as disease. This is the thing that I request you to understand. Even the homeostatic processes, the attempts of the human organism to subject itself for a stable working condition, it will produce some symptoms. And these symptoms are misunderstood as disease by the conventional medicine. If homeostasis is successful, life continues. If it becomes unsuccessful, it may result in disaster or death. So I'm going to explain a little more about this homeostasis and the survival mechanisms. The limitations of conventional medicine is evident here. Conventional medicine often depicts these attempts as diseases, instilling fear and hopelessness in patients. I already explained. The tragic outcome is that these explanations as diseases creates or instills a sort of fear and hopelessness in the mind of the clients. The empowering perspective of GHK is like that. In contrast to the conventional medicine, GHK empowers patients by revealing the true purpose of these mechanisms. By understanding GHK, patients can overcome fear of diseases and many fears about the future, about the family, about anxiety, about the health, anxiety. All this can be managed effectively by understanding the symptoms that lead a frail mind to think about or suffer from the anxieties about the future, anxiety about the health, a fear of death, panicky situations when a particular diagnosis given a thrust upon them, etc. So by understanding GHK, patients can overcome fear and avoid disasters and untimely death. So interconnectedness of life, the conflicts and stresses and context of life. Conflicts are an essential part of life that I don't need to explain. The classification of living and non-living things is unreal. That you know that we have been classifying all the things that are there in this world as this living and non-living. As the research, as the understanding of these non-living, maybe minerals, maybe other material things, they are all having some vibrations, and these are an indication that they also have a form of life. So everything in existence is living, and they are all interconnected. So I'm not going to explain this very deep and very elaborate topic. So understanding the body's response to conflicts and stressors, it has got a spiritual perspective. A believer of God, I already told about that. A believer of God can accept the positivity of the body's responses to conflicts and stressors. Only a believer of God can perfectly understand. This is my concept. This is my conviction, which I'm sharing with you. So only a believer of God can perfectly understand how the body responds to conflicts and stresses. He only can explain about the biological purpose of anything. What is the final purpose of evolution, of transformation of an individual, how the homeostasis is taking place. All this can be better understood, better explained by being a believer of God, the Creator. The designer's creation is designed to move forward, and understanding this process requires a spiritual perspective. That's my conclusion. So I will engage little about the role of autonomic nervous system, or autonomic nervous system, which comprises of the hypothalamic autonomic nervous system has got two aspects I will explain later, and the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis in the perspective of GHK. So autonomic nervous system plays a crucial role in regulating the body's automatic functions like heart attack, heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, digestion, etc. In the context of GHK, the autonomic nervous system is responsible for responding to conflicts and stresses, thereby bringing about the whole phenomena of a biological program or SBS, which is for the conventional medicine and for the whole world, the phenomenon called disease. So the sympathetic nervous system, also known as the fight or flight response, is activated in response to conflicts and stresses. It prepares the body for action by increasing heart rate, blood pressure, and energy levels. The parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest and digest response, is responsible for promoting relaxation, reducing stress, and conserving energy. In GHK, the PNS or the parasympathetic nervous system is a crucial part in the healing process. So hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis is a complex neuroendocrine system that regulates the body's response to stress. So a little more explaining. In GHK, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis plays a critical role in responding to conflicts and stresses. Hypothalamus acts as the primary sensor for the stress and conflict. It is the sensing the conflict. And when a conflict or sensor is detected, stressor is detected, the hypothalamus sends the signals to the pituitary gland, the master gland. Pituitary gland, on receiving the signals from the hypothalamus, it responds by releasing hormones. So many stimulating hormones are there, thyroid stimulating hormone, and all the, because it is called a master gland, it is the controlling. So this hierarchy is like that. Hypothalamus sends the stressors or the conflicts, it is sending the message and it is sent to the pituitary, and the pituitary sends all the endocrine or stimulating hormones, and the respective hormones or the respective endocrine glands will receive these stimulating hormones and will produce hormones accordingly. For example, adrenal gland produce hormones, very important among the glands, produce hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, which prepare the body for action in response to conflicts and stresses. So what is for GSK to explain here? The autonomic nervous system and the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis play crucial roles in responding to conflicts and stresses. The sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for action, while the parasympathetic nervous system promotes relaxation and healing. The hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis regulates the body's response to stress, and its dysregulation can lead to various so-called diseases. I hope all of you understood it. So by understanding the roles of the autonomic nervous system and the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis in GHK, practitioners can better address the root cause of diseases and promote healing, holistic healing. So I'm concluding my session. I have selected some points to be noted here. Number one is the normal functioning of a human organism and its disease process can be best understood from a GHK perspective. GHK views disease process as meaningful adaptive responses to conflicts or stresses, making them natural self-limiting processes. GHK provides insight into all natural diseases, ranging from mild conditions like the common cold, diarrhea, vomiting, to severe diseases like cancer, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, etc. A deeper understanding of GHK and embracing the GHK framework enables a profound comprehension of the human organism. This is my conclusion. Enhanced well-being. Applying GHK principles in daily life facilitates effective stress management, emotional regulation, and self-care. Holistic approach. Learning GHK fosters a more comprehensive approach to health, wellness, and personal growth. As the last point, once you are experienced with its benefits, you can help your fellow human beings by sharing your convictions and experiences, and thus motivating them to learn this divine science for the benefits of themselves, their dear and near ones, and finally, if they have a will, if they have a time, if they have some resources of money, readiness to spend their material resources, then they can work further to spread these great revolutionary medical discoveries of Dr. Hammer called Germanische Heilkunde or Germanic healing knowledge across the globe. So I thank all of you for patient listening, and I should thank all members of Global GSK. We had some 3,000 members, and recently I have not again counted it, but we believe more and more people are going to embrace this united movement to free the humanity from the fear of diseases. I'm very thankful to my teachers, Dr. Prafulli Jekar, and my GHK teacher, Caroline Marcolin. I'm giving here the address of the websites. One is Global GHK, that is our own website, and I am referring the website of Caroline Marcolin, and you can search. Our mentor Danny Carroll is maintaining a very beautiful website. Dr. Asher is having his own website. My mentor Archana is having her own website. And I request all of you to learn GHK from all the possible sources because we can only request all of you to learn. The learning process is to be taken up by yourself individually. And I am once again thanking my mentors. We are 12 unitedly working in very cordially bound relationships under the mentors group. And I thank each one of them, Dr. Farooq Motiwala, Dr. Archana, Dr. Asher, Dr. Raina, Dr. Satish, Dr. Danny Carter, Suhail. Suhail is the leader of our technical wing, and Suhai is assisting him, and Ajoy, a very strong supporter, Sharmishta, and Pooja, who takes care of the our accountant. Okay, I request anyone can contact me under the phone number given here, and I request all of you, all my listeners, present and future, to get connected with our Global GSK Foundation. I have given the link for membership. You can click on this link. If it is not clickable under this YouTube platform, you can copy it into your browser and come to our fold, and let us work together for spreading this knowledge across the globe. We are supported by a very strong team of faculty members. I thank each one of them for their sincere support and cooperation for helping each other to see that GHK reaches every part of the world. Thank you for your watching, and you speak about GHK, speak about this great discovery of Dr. Hammer to all people whom you are coming in contact with, and you are all requested to be a member of our Global GHK Foundation. Any adult can apply or request for a membership, and you can start learning this great conversations. Thank you once again. Nice meeting you. You share this message to all possible groups. You share this video to all the possible groups. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, Global GSK, and I will be there to see you again on another occasion. Thank you.